Thunder rattled the windows of the Whitmore estate. Rain lashed against the glass panes. Inside his laboratory, Dr. Edgar Whitmore paid no heed to the tempest outside. He was a man possessed, his eyes gleaming with manic energy. On the table before him lay his life's work, the still form of Samuel, ready for reanimation. Years of research, countless failed attempts and whispered rumors had led to this night. Dr. Whitmore adjusted the electrodes connected to Samuel, his heart pounding in his chest. The air crackled with anticipation. He checked the vials filled with his meticulously crafted elixir, a concoction designed to spark life anew. Tonight he would cheat death itself. The storm raged on, mirroring the turmoil in Dr. Whitmore's soul. He knew the risks, the potential for catastrophic consequences, but the allure of the forbidden, of conquering life's greatest mystery, had consumed him entirely. He was about to cross a line that no man should ever dare to cross. And yet he couldn't turn back. Not now, not when he was so close. He took a deep breath and threw the final switch. The room hummed with power. Electricity surged through the wires, dancing across Samuel's lifeless form. The pungent aroma of ozone filled the air. Dr. Whitmore watched, his breath catching in his throat as Samuel's chest began to heave. A jolt, violent and unnatural, coursed through the body. Samuel's arm twitched, fingers clenching into a fist. Dr. Whitmore leaned closer, his own pulse racing. The faintest tremor ran through Samuel's lips. A gasp, ragged and shallow, escaped from his lungs. He was breathing. Years of relentless pursuit, of tireless dedication had culminated in this singular moment. The impossible had become reality. Samuel, once lost to the clutches of death, was stirring back to life. Dr. Whitmore's heart swelled with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. What had he unleashed upon the world? Samuel's eyes flickered open, clouded with confusion and a strange primal fear. He looked around the room, his gaze unfocused, lost in a haze of reawakening. He tried to speak, but only a raspy croak escaped his dry throat. He winced as if in pain, the muscles in his face contorting in an unfamiliar grimace. Dr. Whitmore watched with bated breath, his mind a whirlwind of emotions. He saw the struggle in Samuel's eyes, the bewilderment of a mind grappling with the impossible reality of its own existence. It was a look that sent a shiver down his spine, a look that spoke of something ancient and unknowable stirring within Samuel's reanimated form. "Easy now, Samuel," Dr. Whitmore said, his voice a hushed whisper. "You're safe now. You're alive." He reached out a hand to soothe Samuel, but quickly drew it back, unsure of how his creation would react. Samuel's eyes followed his every move, taking in the strangeness of his surroundings, the flickering gaslight illuminating the cluttered laboratory. Days turned into weeks, and Samuel began to adapt to his second life. He was like a child learning to walk and talk again, his mind a blank slate upon which the world was slowly being etched. Dr. Whitmore, filled with a strange mix of paternal pride and scientific curiosity, documented everything. Samuel's learning was remarkable. He devoured books, soaking up knowledge with an almost unnatural thirst. He mastered languages, delved into the sciences, and surprised Dr. Whitmore with his insightful observations and sharp intellect. It was as if the very act of reanimation had unlocked some hidden potential within him. Yet a shadow lurked beneath the surface. There were gaps in Samuel's memory, periods of time that seemed to vanish into a dark void. And his dreams? Those were filled with unsettling visions, whispers of ancient rituals and glimpses of a world shrouded in darkness. He kept these nightmares to himself, afraid to worry his creator, the man he had come to see as a father. Nightmares plagued Samuel's sleep. Twisted visions of shadowy figures and arcane symbols haunted his every slumber. He would wake up in a cold sweat, his heart pounding in his chest, the chilling imagery seared into his mind. These were not the usual stuff of bad dreams. They felt real, visceral, like fragmented memories of a forgotten life. He tried to speak to Dr. Whitmore about these disturbing dreams, but the words always seemed to catch in his throat. How could he possibly explain the unexplainable, the chilling sensation that something was deeply, terribly wrong? He feared the doctor's reaction, the possibility of being deemed unstable, a failed experiment. The dreams grew more vivid, more terrifying with each passing night. They seeped into his waking hours, casting a pall over his thoughts. The shadows seemed to lengthen around him, the whispers growing louder. He felt an insidious presence encroaching upon his sanity, threatening to drag him down into a bottomless abyss. A sense of unease settled upon the Whitmore estate. The staff, once accustomed to the strange happenings within the manor, grew increasingly agitated. Whispers of strange occurrences and unexplained noises in the dead of night spread like wildfire. Objects went missing, only to reappear in impossible locations. A chill permeated the air, even in the heart of summer. Then came the disappearances. It started with the gardener, a burly man who vanished without a trace. Then the maid, her room left in disarray as if she'd been taken in a hurry. Panic gripped the remaining staff. They whispered of curses and vengeful spirits, their terrified eyes reflecting the growing darkness that seemed to be consuming the estate. Dr. Whitmore, blinded by his scientific ambition, dismissed their fears as superstition. He refused to believe that his grand experiment, his triumphant resurrection, could be the source of such terror. But deep down, a seed of doubt began to take root in his heart. He couldn't shake the feeling that he had unleashed something sinister into the world. One night, amidst a raging storm that mirrored the night of Samuel's reanimation, Dr. Whitmore was awakened by a blood-curdling scream. He rushed to Samuel's room, his heart pounding with dread. The door was ripped from its hinges, the room in ruins, and there, bathed in the eerie glow of the lightning, stood Samuel. But he was no longer the same. His features were contorted in a grotesque mockery of human expression, his eyes burning with an infernal light. His skin was ashen grey, his hands tipped with razor-sharp claws. A low growl rumbled in his chest, a sound that spoke of primal hunger and ancient evil. Dr. Whitmore stumbled back, his mind reeling from the sight before him. He had created a monster, a being of pure darkness. The realization hit him like a physical blow, stealing his breath and leaving him paralyzed with fear. He had tampered with forces beyond human comprehension, and now he was paying the ultimate price. "Samuel!" Dr. Whitmore stammered, his voice barely a whisper, but it was no use. The creature that had once been Samuel lunged at him, its eyes blazing with a malevolent light. Dr. Whitmore barely had time to scream before the monster's claws ripped into his flesh. As he lay dying, his lifeblood staining the floor of the ruined laboratory, Dr. Whitmore saw a flicker of recognition in the creature's eyes, a fleeting glimpse of the gentle soul he had sought to revive. But it was gone in an instant, replaced by a cold, alien intelligence that sent shivers down his spine. In that final moment of clarity, Dr. Whitmore understood the terrible truth. He hadn't just resurrected Samuel, he had opened a doorway, a portal to a realm of ancient evil. And he had unwittingly given that evil a vessel, a conduit into the world of the living. His life's work, his hubris, had unleashed a horror beyond his wildest nightmares. The storm raged on, a symphony of destruction echoing the chaos that had been unleashed upon the world. The creature, no longer recognizable as Samuel, stalked through the halls of the Whitmore estate, leaving a trail of death and destruction in its wake. The remaining staff, trapped within the confines of the manor, could only cower in fear as the sounds of carnage drew closer. The creature, driven by an insatiable hunger and driven by an ancient evil that predated humanity itself, vanished into the night. It was a harbinger of darkness, a terror unleashed upon an unsuspecting world. And as the storm subsided, leaving behind an eerie silence, one question lingered in the air. Could anything stop the nightmare that Dr. Whitmore had created?